Hello, so I will talk you through how to do a downward facing dog today. So this is a restorative position in yoga. It's a inversion and a forward fold. So we'll be directing the blood in a different circulation route to normal. I will show you how to get into this position from a sun salutation. So I'll just go to the front of the mat and Tadasana. So inhale, bring your palms together at heart center into prayer pose. Exhale, raise the arms up, arch your back. Exhale into forward fold, nose to knee, and then we're going to jump back here into a higher plank, and then we're going to lift our tailbone up, heels go down into downward dog. So here your hands are shoulder width apart, your fingers are spread equally on the mat, your biceps are rotated out, armpits are open, shoulders away from your ears, and then our back is elongated, our tailbone is up, our thighs are engaged, our knees are tightened and up, and our heels are trying to push back onto the floor, just whatever you feel comfortable with today. Okay. So you'd usually have a few breaths in that posture. It's usually part of like a dynamic flow. So you'd usually come into it from a sun salutation or a low plank or a high plank. It'll just involve kind of lifting your tailbone up to the sky. So initially, you're making a V shape with your body, sort of like this. And it's really good for your upper body and lower body strength. It also works all of the muscles in the posterior part of your body, so the back. So it works all of your like shoulder muscles, back muscles, your glutes. It works all of the back thigh muscles here in the calves. It's really good for your joints as well. So the joints that you'll be flexing is your hip flexors, and you'll also be flexing your shoulders, but then it will be a knee extension and elbow extension. So there's a lot of different kind of movements happening here. And it's a really good posture to kind of help with, like so many of them help with your mind and just kind of like just focusing on something different. So it can be quite a dynamic posture, especially if you haven't done it for a while. To ease into the posture, some people, especially if you do a downward dog in the morning, it can be hard for your heels to reach the bottom of the mat. So you can keep pedaling one foot at a time, and gradually towards the end of the process, the end of the yoga session, you'll be able to reach your heels back. So essentially, you're pushing away from gravity on your hands, which is elongating the top part of your body, so your torso, but then you're trying to lengthen the back part of your body as well. So from your buttocks to your heels. So by trying to push your heels back onto the ground, you're creating more length in the lower part of your body. So there's lots of different variations to this to ease yourself into it. Blocks can be very useful. So we can use the blocks to rest our hands on, just in case we're not able to get a straight spine. So it just helps with kind of like lengthening your spine to get that correct alignment. So here as you can see, it's a lot easier for me to push my heels back onto the floor. So it just gives you a bit more length in your upper body really, and then your tailbone's able to go more higher. You're able to ensure that your armpits are open, your elbows are locked. Also, a way to ensure you've got a straight back is you can actually gaze up at your navel, and this will be able to make sure that your back is a bit more aligned. So that's one way. You're also able to use the assistance of a wall. So I will just show you by using the wall over here. So I'll just turn the camera slightly. Okay. So we can use the wall for our hands. Or we could use it the other way round for our feet, just to try and get the heels back. Okay. So just by having the heels up on the wall slightly, I'm just able to kind of straighten my back and lift my tailbone up. Then we'll bend our knees into tabletop position. So there's always risks with some of the poses that you'll be doing. So do not do this if you've got high blood pressure, if you've got any kind of heart disease, circulation issues. Also, it can be quite tough on sort of your knee joints. You can also, if you're in downward dog, you don't have to straighten your knees straight away. You can bend them, and then as you kind of like do the position more and more, you'll be able to sort of straighten them. So don't feel too much pressure to kind of have your legs straight away. Yeah, so if you've got any like issues with your knees or your hips, and just if you've kind of just got any like blood pressure issues, it's probably not best to do them, just because you're directing the blood flow to your head region. So it can be quite overwhelming for people, especially if they've got any, I don't know, sort of psychological disorders as well. But all in all, it's really good for strengthening. So it's really good for strengthening our calves and our hamstrings, toning of the body, getting a nice long straight spine. So it's good for your posture, especially if you've got a bit of a hunched back. It'll kind of teach you to elongate your spine. You shouldn't do the pose if you've got a slip disc, any back issues, or you suffer with vertigo. So if you just keep this in mind when you're doing a yoga class, the teacher will usually ask you at the beginning of the class if you've got any injuries, and then she'll be able to direct you to sort of positions that you can and can't do. So I will just show you one more example of the downward facing dog. Okay, so we'll just come into this from tabletop position. So again, palms shoulder width apart, fingertips spread equally on the mat. Got your biceps rolled out, and you'll have your armpit open, shoulders away from your ears, back and down. You have elongation, extension of the spine, and your tailbone will be pointing up to the ceiling. Your back legs will be straight with your heels pulling down. So essentially you will be pushing your hands away from the floor, but then using your heels to ground yourself back down. So I'll just show you here. Inhale, exhale. Okay. So if you're usually in that position for five breaths roughly, but if you feel any dizziness, then it's best to come out of the position straight away.